Hello, hello, hello. What's up, everybody? This is your girl, Mia Hall, and you are tuned into Brown Girl Week, letting you give, lead, own, and write your destiny. Today, we are talking about the power of storytelling. Today is the anniversary of Mike Brown's death, and if anybody knows me or has followed me for a number of years, you will know that during that time, I really was shook like the rest of the world, angry, upset. And I said, at that point, when I saw this young man that had just graduated from high school, and his mom talked about how he graduated and, how it, was so hard for him to graduate. And I remember now I watched the documentary and they were talking about how he was in this program, specifically made for students who, you know, um, they were really trying to get on that track, for graduation. So, this was a big deal for him to graduate. And, the first pictures that we see in the media is of him, in a hoodie. And, we all know the implications of a black young man in a hoodie from Trayvon Martin, and his death, the killing of Trayvon Martin. So, they try to depict him as like a gangbanger and all this stuff. And then, but I'm like, oh, wait, but on these black outlets, I'm seeing him in a graduation cap. I'm seeing his graduation picture. So that really angered me and that made me want to get involved in storytelling. That made me really want to get involved with media. That made me want to, say, hey, I want to work. I was working in community outreach at the time for Barclays Center, and I really wanted to. At that time, when I saw that, I was like, no, I have to use my gift to fight for social justice. And I knew that my gift was storytelling. And so that's what I did. I prayed, you know, um, I prayed all 2015. So I think that was in 2014. And I'm going to make sure I fact check. But so I prayed all 2015, like, hey, not hey, God, but, I asked God that I really wanted to work in media because I want to make sure that our stories, that's why I call this the power of telling our own stories. I wanted to be able to tell our stories and not from a biased perspective. And so that's why, that was my prayer that I can do that for the majority of my time. And thank God that He allowed me to do that. In 2016, when I started working, in 2016, yeah, when I started working at NBCBLK, and have been producing ever since then. So today I'm excited because I have Jamie L here with me in the waiting room. As you can see, oh wait, the waiting room is over here. And just a little bit of a backstory on how I met her. I went to Essence Fest this year, and Essence Fest also had a um, film festival that was happening at the same time um, as their regular Essence Fest programming. And there I was able to meet filmmakers and people that were in the industry. And I met young Jamie L. So without further ado, I am going to bring her in the room. Jamie, what's up?
Hello, hello. Thank you so very much for having me. I'm very excited to be here. Yeah, thank you. I'm so ready.
Oh, awesome. Awesome. Well, we're excited to have you. I'm just going to tell you all a little bit more about Jamie L. So, she is a director, writer, and poet. She has a bachelor's degree in English from Southeastern Louisiana University, woo woo, and an MFA in film production from the University of New Orleans. Woo woo. Her art implores thought and brings awareness to societal issues. Such examples of her work are festival selected films, Tender Curiosity, and To Get By, uh, and published poems, Void, Generational Wounds, and Alligator Day. I'm going to have her help. How do you pronounce that?
Um, I've been saying alligator raid. I don't know if that's 100% correct either, but that's what we're gonna go with.
Okay, Alligatorade. Okay, her writing can be found in Passenger's Journal, Decolonial Passage, and Free Spirits. The upcoming short film is Below the Veil. A self described flaneur, is that how you say that?
Yeah, flaneur.
Flaneur. She thrives to impact the world the best way she knows how with her writing. Y'all give it up one time for JVL. Woo!
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for joining us. So yeah, I saw Jamie L. We went to a panel with all of these showrunners, and it was just awesome. So Jamie L., can you just tell us when did you first fall in love with film?
I wish I had like that exact moment in time that happened for me where I could give like this great, great story. But honestly, it's always been there for me ever since I was little. I can go back and say, since I was a little kid, I was doing all of this writing, creating all of these stories, having all of these ideas. So I feel like it's just been a part of me since I could remember. And it just has continued to be present and flourish throughout my time. So don't have that one moment, but it's just been a continual thing.
Okay, awesome. And so when do you remember when you first started, writing? Do you remember any of your early works, or how was it, or how were you as a writer like growing up?
Oh, that's a good one. I don't know. I feel that my earlier writings focused more on poetry,
Yeah.
and really just pulling from whatever would come to mind, day to day things, and jotting those down. And then eventually I worked my way up to like prose, storytelling in long form, and probably more so in like high school with reading, and that exposed my mind to more things, and yeah, and being able to craft stories that way. So probably poetry, but man, I wish I could think of like that one thing way back then. I was like, yeah, this where it started.
Mm, uh-huh. Well, you said poetry, so what even got you into poetry, or did you just like I don't know where started writing? Like, oh, listen, roses are red, violets are blue.
um I would say probably I know Emily Dickinson and Robert Frost were poets that stuck out to me when I was younger. And just something about being able to say what I want to say without being restricted kind of gravitated me more toward poetry, because I always felt that I didn't write like anybody else, or the way I understood things were a little bit different than most. So I'm like, with a poem, I can just say what I want to say, and it doesn't necessarily have to maybe make sense to someone else or have to follow this structure, but it's there. I have this art, um, and that's okay. So probably, yeah, their work really probably started the path for me.
Okay. Okay. Awesome. Awesome. Okay. Now this show and Brown Girls Glow in general is really targeting high school women, young women that are growing up in high school. So we're going to get into your college experience, and I know it wasn't very long ago that you graduated college, so this might be even good for high school students, but how was your high school experience, and how did you achieve, enough success, even to go to college? What do you owe it to in your high school experience?
It's really crazy. My high school experience definitely got me on the path for writing, but it wasn't until later, because even though I have always been creative, done storytelling in some capacity, I didn't plan on going to school for that. So I can credit my junior year AP English Language Arts teacher. And I took her class, and she kind of made me realize that this was a real thing, it's very tangible, and I could actually take that path of studying English and then later studying film So yeah, it was her class that I would say started giving me the confidence in my writing, seeing what I was capable of to say, okay, I can be a writer. Because yeah, before that I would write, but that's not what I was going to school for. So it would be that class. I didn't um, do, I guess, like clubs and things geared toward writing in high school. Everything for me was doing it outside of school, but that would have been the igniter, I guess, for everything in school. That class and that teacher.
Mm. Okay,
Miss
okay,
Lawson, if
okay.
she ever sees this.
I love it. I love, what's her name?
Miss Lawson.
Miss Lawson. Shout out to Miss Lawson. Salute, salute. We
Yes,
salute you. We
yes.
salute you. Okay, okay, awesome. So you went through your 4 years of high school, and then you chose Southeastern, and then how was that process going from high school to college, and studying as you did?
It was um, not really a difficult process because I'd always knew I was going to college. Um, I would say for me, it was finding the right school to go to or that I wanted to go to. So I definitely took my time in trying to find schools that worked for me, and that had the atmosphere that I was looking for. Because I would say that's also a big part of the college that you attend. Um, so yeah, it was just going into it. It was a lot of things looking back that I did wish I knew earlier on, starting high school, probably that I didn't get until later in high school for college. Um, but yeah, so the transition wasn't difficult. It was pretty smooth. And then specifically, I would say with Southeastern, that was really great once I got there and getting more into like my major and my classes, and again finding my voice, getting that confidence on that level, and being around other creatives, because I think that that's also a major part of it that I did not have like in high school and growing up, versus once I got to college. Okay, these are also like-minded people. We're all in this race for this same goal, and that's encouraging um, in a lot of ways. So yeah, I would say that. And I would say for current high schoolers, in whatever grade that you're in, especially, or if it's someone that's in middle school, start now if you can, looking into things for college. It'll help out in the long run. And I always tell people, especially those younger than me, find what you're passionate about and go after that. I would encourage that first, because I feel that you want to be happy in whatever it is that you're doing with your life.
Mm, I love that. Love that. Yeah, you do, because listen, especially when you're working. Listen, if you are happy doing it, it'll turn out a lot better. I remember this as when I went to a career day. This man was talking about, like, when people, he doesn't ask kids like what they want to do when they grow up, but it's like, even because one, jobs are changing all the time. A career that you want to be now, can be not there when when you get to an older age, or something that you didn't even think you can do as a career, would have been created. But he said one thing you want to make sure you are when you grow up is happy. You know what I mean? So it's like, what do I want to be when I grow up? I want to be happy. What I want as my next job, my next role, or something like that. Like I want it to make me happy. I want to be happy. So yeah, I think that's very important.
And can I also add, explore while you are in high school. Don't wait to college to explore your career possibilities. Do it in high school. It'll be much better once you get to college.
I love it. I love it. Yeah, absolutely. Were you able to like do anything in high school? extra as an extracurricular activity before you got to school yourself, or you really more so went into it in college?
I went into it in college. Let me see, was there? I did. What was it? We had an event, and I wrote a poem for the program for that event. I do remember doing that in high school. Um, but no, most of it started in college.
Okay, okay. I have a question since you're talking about poems. I want to see, do you want to share any of your, favorite poems that
One
you
of
can perform for us real quick as a little intermission, interlude, halfway through? Because I mean, you talk about poetry, so it's like let me spit
um, one
some.
of my poems or of someone else.
One of yours.
Oh, one of mine. One of my favorite poems. Um, which one is one of my favorites? Okay. Um, Now I have to pull it up. Look at me. Do I have time to do that?
Yeah, go ahead, go ahead. While you pull it up, I'll ask you another question. What's the biggest lesson that you learned while you were in college, and while you were in getting your MFA as well?
That's where I learned my biggest lesson. Um, I would say my biggest lesson that I have learned in school was that you have to, and everybody will tell you this, but to experience it and see it makes it feels different. But that you have to do it,
Mm,
even if you're not prepared, you're not as skilled as the next person, you have to do it. Because what I learned is you may be going against people that are not as skilled as you are, but that are not afraid to put themselves out there. So by default, you've already lost because you didn't even try because you felt you weren't prepared. But do it anyway. I would
mm.
say that what has been the biggest lesson. Um, yeah, and well, what is it? You miss 100% of the shots that you don't take because it all falls. It's all the same thing, but essentially, yeah, you just you have to. Because I had one of my classmates. We were talking one day, and I was just like, you're so knowledgeable on this particular topic. You always seem like you know what you're doing, and you just got it and you do it. And I'm like, I want to be there. And then he was like, no, I don't know anything. He was like, I'm just doing it and then I'll learn as I go. And I was just like, wow, okay. Okay. So that's been the biggest lesson. Just put yourself out there. Whatever happens, happens, but you get that experience, you learn, and then you also don't know what will come from that by you doing so. So it's best to just try anyway.
Awesome. I love that. I love that. I was just speaking about that yesterday. Like, listen, put yourself out there. You don't know what's going to happen, but at least you know that you did it. And on the Secret to Success podcast, Eric Thomas and CJ Jamal Carl, um, they talk about like success is in the asking. It's in like the consistency. It's in like those things. The results are going to be the results. Like the results are out of our hands. They're in God's hands. You know what I mean? Um, but us like sowing the seeds, doing that work, like that's really the success. So yeah, putting yourself out there, doing it, filming, making a short like you have, like that's what that's what we gotta do. So okay, cool.
Yes.
Phone.
I'm almost there.
No
Now,
doubt.
see, if it was any other time, I'd have been able to pull it up, no problem.
Right. Exactly. You have any that you have memorized or not really?
I don't because I don't.
Oh,
Which
you mostly write them for reading, not performing.
yes,
Copy.
yes.
Okay, copy. Okay, that's understandable.
So I know for most people, they're like, "That's weird." It's like, no,
No, some people like we would have never heard Emily Dickinson perform one of her, you know what I'm saying? Like
Right, right.
poems. So it's like, yeah, it's like I mean, I guess maybe she could have, but it seems like she wasn't a performer. It was more like she was a poetry writer. Like it's like now because of slam poetry, it's like, yeah, you think about that's what everybody thinks about,
Right.
but it's like, no, some poets just write their poems.
Yes, it's like you gotta read. It's like a story. You gotta read it.
Yeah, even like Langston Hughes, because I don't know if he was like, I mean, like, I know that, he's read them, you know what I mean, out loud, but it wasn't like he was going on tour as a poet, right?
I don't think so.
No, no, I don't think it was like that type of, like a performance.
Right.
And I think that most poets, honestly, now that I think of it, it's like, I see poets in autumn, but it's not like a popular, I can go to poetry cafes, yes, and, Love Jones, and, but it's like a lot of poets write poetry books.
Hmm. So baby, I gotta read it. But I gotta. I do have it pulled up.
Okay, awesome. All right, so everybody introducing Jamie L to the Brown Girls Glow live show. Performing, what's the name of your poem?
I will do.
Well,
You
reading.
come from.
You come from. Give it up. Give it up.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. You come from that flesh of which the one that mirrors your hue, or the one whose darkness seeps through. Those wires that make up your being are gradient sand particles aligned to the composure of one code of imperfectibility, perfectly pasteurized for the exposure of you to the eyes of the undeserved. Do you believe? Do you fault? Why subject yourself to a beauty of no scale instead of raising your particles to the infinity power to say, I come from that flesh? Yes. Thank you.
Woo! I love it.
Yes,
Awesome.
yes. That's
I,
one of my shorter ones.
okay, okay. Thank you. We just wanted a little taste. Let me not even clap. Let me not even clap, but we just wanted a little taste.
Never.
And we had somebody tuning in live too. Why don't you tell us where you're from live? Okay, they made a comment. JC
Hello.
snaps. Hello, JC. Oh, that's Janae. Okay. So yes. Okay, awesome. I love it. so
Thank
okay, so now you did your undergrad, and you did your MFA. Now when did you tell me about your first short film that you say you're currently editing, is about to go into, um, you after you finish editing it, you want to submit it to festivals. Tell me how that story came about and what is it? What is it and what is it about?
you. Okay. So this film, my current film, it is in a nutshell, it's about generational trauma. I like to write stories that I feel that we may not talk about, but they are things that we do need to discuss. And all of my films have been about subjects in that regard. So this one in particular was just something that I noticed where a lot of people may, um, I guess, suffer in a sense from generational trauma. So I wanted to write a film about that that kind of gives people the opportunity to sit down, see this, and then hopefully after watching it, kind of think about it within themselves and their family and analyze and see, okay, well, what trauma am I have I experienced that is still impacting me today that maybe I didn't think about before, or maybe if it is a family that watches it, that they together can then say, oh well, let's have a discussion, just so that's the for that film in particular. I really just wanted to kind of get those gears turning on that subject and hopefully encourage people to talk about that within their family, because I do feel that healing is very important. I cannot hear you.
My bad. So tell me a little bit about the nuts and bolts of it. Did you write it yourself?
Yes. I wrote it, directed it, and I also edited that film.
That's awesome. So do you have your own camera or did you like bring in a crew? And where did you get the crew from?
So I did not use my own camera for it, but it was my thesis project. So I was able to use gear from my school, and I pulled in crew members from school as well as some crew members from the community came on board as well. And it was a great experience. It definitely was I took it as an opportunity to kind of push the envelope and be more creative with that film than I had with my previous films. So it was each one of my films taught me something, but that one in particular was definitely a culmination of everything and a proud growth moment for myself in completing that and seeing the translation from script to screen for that particular subject.
Mm, okay. And how long was it, the script?
19 pages, I believe.
And how long is the, oh, well, you're still editing, but how long is your goal for the film to be?
It's, I think, around, I think it's around 20 minutes.
Okay. Okay.
I believe somewhere around there.
All right, cool. This is as I'm like preparing to, shoot my short film. I'm like, just kind of like just working it out in my head. Like, okay, what is, some of the parameters.
Mhm.
But no, that's awesome. So you said you worked on other films on the past. So you wouldn't consider this your first like film that you've written and directed and produced yourself?
It is not. No, that is my fourth one.
Okay, so tell us about your other films.
So my other films, they were, I would say, they were all. It was a gradual movement and increase for each film. I definitely pushed the envelope each time. Starting off with my first one was very, very basic. I was just trying to get the feel of it, and not
What was it called?
just one smile. So that one was about when a man walks up to a woman that they may or may not know and ask her to smile.
Okay.
So yes, that was the subject for that one, something that I had dealt with, and I was like, oh yeah, I'm gonna, you know, write on this topic because that's the whole thing. My
What's
second
the
one,
whole thing? Well, us ladies we hear about the guys and the ladies. Like, what's the whole thing? We got time.
because it all like you, I'm pretty sure there's not one woman on this planet that you can walk up to that has not had that experience where
Yeah.
most of the time it's just a random man just walks up to you and tell you that. And so I've had that many times. And so I wanted to, in that film, have that moment where the actress tells him, I don't need you or me smiling to be a definition of my beauty or any definition of who I am as a person. My woman is
Hmm.
that's not necessary. And you walking up to me and telling me to smile for yourself, not for me, is definitely not necessary at all.
Right.
So yeah, that's it was just my moment to shine a light on that particular issue. Yes.
Yeah.
Um because no, it always it happens too much.
Okay, gotcha.
Um
Gotcha.
then my second film, Tender Curiosity, is about a failing relationship. And with that one, I went into that writing that where I feel that sometimes people are in relationships and a lack of communication may uh, lead them to a place where they may be stuck or they may not know how to move forward or they may not need to be together anymore, but they don't know how to maneuver in that situation. So in that film, It is a conversation between this couple that happens between a door, and it's just them kind of going through where they started to where they are now, and then deciding to um, break up and realizing that from the beginning they were two different people. They just never had the conversations to see that they just, were kind of going along. Exactly. And then there's a twist at the end, because I also, in the same instance, wanted to ask what happens when we prolong those conversations and life happens. Then, then how do you maneuver that relationship from there?
Mm.
So that's Tender Curiosity. And then my third film is To Get By. And I say that's my version, my short film version of Set It Off.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yes, but that film follows the lead Samantha as she is recently released from jail and is trying to reacclimate into society, and it shows how difficult society is on formerly incarcerated people, not allowing them to get a job or whatever the case may be because of something that they have done, and not and maybe even just overlooking their skill, what they do bring to the table, and not judging them based on that one thing. And in the same instance as that is happening, her friends are in a place where they're kind of taking life by their own hands. And so she gets caught up in a situation where she has to make a decision between living the good life or living the bad life. But ultimately, that film is about perspective and trying to get people to understand the why behind decisions people make. Because sometimes I think people neglect to ask that question, because people make decisions based on their circumstances or what they may have to do or what they may not know that they can do. So with that film, I just wanted to pose that question and show that side of reality, because that is a reality for a lot of people.
Okay, thank you. Yes. Okay. No, that's awesome. Okay, so you worked on your fourth project. You're gonna have it in film festivals, and from here, what do you think is um, the power of telling our own stories? Why is it important to you? You think that we tell our own stories?
It is very important to tell your own story, whether that is from like just a person telling their story or like a community perspective, because most times you may not see your story being told, and that affects the way that you may see yourself, that um, you maneuver within life. So it's almost as if adding um, a puzzle piece, or adding, your drawing to like the classroom collage photo on the wall by telling your story, implementing that, and having not done so, it will forever be missing. It doesn't exist. So it's important to tell your story so that people, not knowing that you are here in a singular sense, but as a collective, as a community, knowing we are here, what we experience, what we feel, what we go through, and having that voice. Because if not, then somebody else can tell your story, and they might not tell it accurately. They might tell it from their perspective and not yours, and nobody will ever know what the horse did unless the horse tells it themselves. So it is very, very important to believe that that's important, but to tell your story, however it is, whatever it may be, in any shape, form, or fashion. It can be small, large, but you do have to tell it somebody has to know. Um, even just a better way of putting it, like they say, somebody has to live to tell the story.
Yeah.
So you have to write that story so that somebody know that you lived. Did that answer your question?
Mm. Yeah, no, yeah, it is. I just wanted to know, from your perspective, what's the power of telling our own stories? Like, I mean, I shared earlier, just so that we won't be put in a, different light. But what you said is also true. We have to do it. We have to do it. So, anybody out there, any young brown girls that glow, or anybody else that just has a story to tell, has a story to share. I mean, nowadays, a lot more people are sharing their stories, but if there's any hesitation on your end, like, don't be afraid, because know that there is power in it. All right.
Yes.
So, Jamie L., I always ask people, what is one piece of advice that they would give to their 16-year-old self?
16-year-old self. Um, Start now. I think that would probably be my advice to my 16-year-old self. Start now. Um, don't wait. Don't overthink it, and it doesn't have to be perfect. Just do it. Whatever that it is, try it. Put it out there, and it's okay to fail multiple times. Everybody does it, but just do it and start now. Because time is only going to dwindle. It's not going to increase. So why wait? The longer you wait, the shorter the time of reaping those benefits for it. So just go ahead and start now.
I love it. Start now. Y'all hear it. Y'all heard it here on
Yes. So
Brown
y'all go
Girls
ahead and
Live.
start.
Go ahead and start it, ladies. All right. So, how can people support you? Where can people follow you in your journey?
Yes. So you can follow me on my Instagram, which is Director J Gatz, Gatz, and pretty much stay up to date with everything that I have going on. I'm always posting about my films and upcoming films. And I do have a lot of things that are in the works now that I can't speak on just yet, but it will be on Instagram for you to find out more. So just follow me on there. Yeah, see what's going on.
Awesome. Awesome. So, I'll put it down below at Director J Gatz, and I'll put it in the description for you all later. So you all make sure you follow at Director J Getz. Make sure y'all follow me at Mia Hall TV. And make sure that you like this post. Make sure that you comment, subscribe to my channel, of course, so you can get more great videos with great filmmakers and young brown women like Jamil. Um, and yeah, so make sure that you can keep on continuing to glow. Um, Jamil, one last question that I always ask people, no matter what, no matter what faith you are, how has faith helped you to achieve your dreams or goals?
Um, Without faith, my dreams most definitely are unachievable. I believe that chasing my dreams and achieving my dreams have all been attributed to my faith. Um, so I feel that they're intertwined. I can't have one without the other. In my experience, pretty much everything that has happened in regards to what I want, my goals, my dreams, that has always been the biggest factor in it happening. Especially with when things have happened and I can't say that I was fully involved in it. So my faith, 100%, is the biggest contributing factor to achieving my dreams, for sure.
Okay, awesome. Are you comfortable sharing what your faith is? Like,
Yes, I believe in God.
okay, all right, all right, all right. Amen. 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 All right, awesome. Well, you guys heard it here first, man. Of course, faith is the key to unlock many doors. And I want y'all to keep on striving, keep on elevating, and make sure that you are doing the very absolute best to unlock your fullest potential. This has been Mia and Jamie L here in another episode of Brown Girls Grow Live. Y'all tune in next week because we got more coming for you. Bye.